Hello, everyone. My name is Allie Wilbur, and I'm Curator of Public Programs at the Museum of Wisconsin Art. I'm excited to have children's author Barbara Joosse here with us today to read Lulu and Rocky in Milwaukee.
Hi.
Barbara is a self-proclaimed cheesehead who's lived in Wisconsin her whole life. Now she lives in Port Washington with her husband and a very cute little puppy. She has written 55 children's books, which have been translated into 29 different languages. After today's reading, be sure to look for the other 3 Lulu and Rocky adventure books, and keep your eyes peeled for a 5th Lulu and Rocky adventure book coming out in 2021, which is much sooner than it feels like. Goodbye, 2020. Happy New Year's Eve, everyone. So I will begin. I'll let Barbara begin by sharing a little bit about her life and talking about her process as a writer. And after that, we'll do a Q&A. So please be sure to add any questions that you have in the comments below, and we'll do our best to answer them after the reading. So Barbara, I will hand it over to you.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I want to thank the museum for hosting me. It's a fabulous opportunity to talk to you and read to you today. We're going to have some fun. And it's a great way to kick off a new year, because aren't we hoping for something a lot better next year? When I was a kid, I grew up in Grafton, Wisconsin, and I thought of 2 things. I want to make a difference in the world, and I won't forget what it's like to be a kid. I had a very, very good life growing up, but I understood as a child that there were some things that didn't seem right that adults believed in. And I wanted to direct my life in a way that I could understand children and help them understand the world, and that I'd make the world a better place. I had no idea how I was going to do that, because I had no talents I could figure out. I was terrible at sports. I couldn't ride my bike very well. I couldn't catch a ball. I was bad at math. I wasn't a good student. I had no idea how I was going to make the world better. And a lot of kids feel that way. You have big intentions, you have big thoughts, but you don't know how you'll make the world better. But I think it's enough right now if you just want to try. That's all that happens. And the light in you will shine brighter when you get older, and you'll have talents, or you'll show talents that you don't know yet. Okay, let's look at the next picture. Oh, yep, there I am in my cowgirl outfit. That was one thing I wanted to be, was a cowgirl. Okay, let's look at the next one. I live in a little perch on the 4th floor in Port Washington on the harbor. And I share that perch with my husband, Chuck, and my dog, Booker, because I write books. And he is just a puppy, although he's a very big puppy. He's almost 5 months old. Well, he's 5 months old today. But he's big and furry and soft and very, very funny and wiggly. Okay. I have hobbies, and this is one of them. You know, I said that I wanted to make the world a better place. Well, one of the ways I do is that I do a lot of the gardening at Rotary Park. And that makes me so happy. Nobody really knows who I am. There I am in the plants, weeding or planting and making the park beautiful. I planted poppies last year along the riprap, and they turned out to be so beautiful and successful. They bloomed forever. They probably died sometime in November, but they made it that long, from June to November. They were so pretty. And I also, look at the next picture, I also found a wonderful man who would make a teepee for me. So we had the teepee constructed in the park, and a lot of children like to play in the teepee. It's really kind of a special thing. Okay. Well, a couple of years ago, my best friend, Renee Grafe, who now lives in California, she lived in Cedarburg, and we grew to be very, very good friends. We decided we wanted to do a series of books together that allowed us to travel and discover places, and then tell children about those places. So we set about writing Lulu and Rocky adventure books. Here we are in Detroit in an old Model T as we're discovering Detroit. And I find that every city has its own personality. And my job is not to just highlight interesting places to visit, but to show the character of a city the way I might a person as a character. And so Milwaukee looks quite different, as you can imagine, from Detroit or Nashville. Milwaukee has its own personality. So the very first place we wanted to highlight was our hometown city, Milwaukee. So the first Lulu and Rocky book is Lulu and Rocky in Milwaukee. Can we see the cover of that? Oh, I forgot. Port Washington. That's what I was going to tell you. I love living here. And one of the things about Port Washington is that there are stories all over. It was fun for me this fall when suddenly this boat became kind of shrink wrapped in plastic. So as an author, I wonder, what the heck's going on? Why are they doing that? What made them, how are they going to live in the wintertime? What does it look like in there? What do those people do? It's been so much fun to see that boat every day and wonder a little bit more about it. Sometimes there are signs on the door. And this year at Christmas, they put special lights on the ribbings of the boat that you can see through the plastic. And they have paid special money to Harbor Master, so he will keep the ice off of the harbor, and they live there year round. Okay. This is my husband, Chuck, with Booker, and Chuck is a bronze sculptor. That means he makes sculpture out of the metal bronze. And every morning he takes Booker on his lap, and it's getting harder and harder because Booker's very big, but they cuddle together in the morning light, and I love waking up to that. Okay. So now we're going to read Lulu and Rocky in Milwaukee. Well, the story begins with a picture of Aunt Fancy. Can we see that? Allie, can you let me know whether you're showing the pictures of the book? Or do I need to do that? Maybe I need.
Is it?
We're still on the cover.
Yep.
Okay.
Give me 1 second.
Okay.
Technical difficulties, of course. Music. All right.
Okay. The first is just a picture and no words. Do we have that one of Aunt Fancy? There we go. All right. So this book begins like every book in every city with Aunt Fancy writing a letter, and you can tell she's fancy because look, she has purple gloves and rings and bracelets and a fancy hat. She's drinking, I think, cappuccino, and there are some pictures of Milwaukee postcards. She's writing, "Dear Lulu." Okay, next one. Then we have a map of Milwaukee. It sure is fun for kids to look at that map and see what places they visited in Milwaukee. There are tours you can take. In fact, Lulu and Rocky walking tours, so you can visit some of the places in the book. Okay. So the story begins. A purple envelope arrives. Dear Lulu, are you and Pufferson ready for 3 days of adventure? Take the Lake Express to Milwaukee, then head to the Pfister Hotel. Rocky will meet you there, Aunt Fancy. Rocky's my cousin and best friend. He gets his invitation by email. Now, every city they visit, they will arrive in a very special way. So we thought it would be special if they arrived by Lake Express. That's why we've got the Lake Express. Pufferson and I pack in 1 second. Then we board this humongous boat called the ferry and start crossing Lake Michigan. Pufferson checks out the map and circles the bathrooms on the boat just in case. Then he plans our itinerary. I follow the smell of popcorn to the snack bar. At the Pfister Hotel, there's a doorman whose name is Norman. Norman is tall, and I'm pretty sure his eyebrows are woolly bear caterpillars. welcome to the Fister. There's Rocky, Mr. Crazy Pants. First we bear hug and fox box, then we look. There's gold everywhere, and everyone smells like perfume. There are angels on the ceiling, and I think I'm in heaven. Rocky holds his nose. He doesn't like perfume. Now it's time to explore. We use canoes from the Urban Ecology Center and see Milwaukee from the river, which is, I got to tell you, super fun to do. We're starving. Pufferson knows just where to go, the historic Third Ward. Fried cheese curds taste like melted sunshine. Back at the hotel, Norman says fried cheese curds are the bee's knees, which means he likes them. The next day, we take selfies with the bronze fawns, climb 84 steps at the North Point Lighthouse, and pet a spiny fish monster called a lake sturgeon at Discovery World. Then we gear up and burn rubber on our knucklehead motorcycle at the Harley-Davidson Museum. We text pictures to Aunt Fancy, and she sends us a thumbs up. Pufferson says we must have a fish fry, so we go to the Lakefront Brewery, which is busy and dizzy. Then the polka band plays, and everyone dances in bubbles. Back at the hotel, we blow bubbles to Norman. Norman says bubbles are just the ticket, which means he likes them. Today is our lakefront day. There are a million things to do. We pick Surrey bikes. Whew. We drink water from a water fountain, which Milwaukee people call a bubbler. Then it's time for inspiration. So we head to the Milwaukee Art Museum. We are inspired. Have you seen those beautiful art pieces? I think everybody's favorite is can we go back to the art? Is the janitor that Rocky's talking to. People talk to that janitor, but he's not a real person. You probably know he's a sculptor. Okay, next one. On the roof of the museum, there's something called the brise soleil, which looks like huge white wings folded up. We watch the wings open slowly, like a swan, like in Swan Lake. And I feel like I'm riding the swan, higher than the clouds, higher than the wind. That night, we paint our day. Rocky paints a Surrey bike, and I paint me flying on a great white swan. Pufferson paints blobs. In the morning, it's time to go. We give our paintings to Norman so he'll remember us. Norman says, "How could I forget?" He winks. You're the cat's pajamas, which means he likes us. We video chat with Aunt Fancy. Thank you. Then Rocky and I foxbox goodbye. From the boat, Pufferson and I wave to Norman, the fish monster, the Surrey bikes, and the great white swan. We wave goodbye to Milwaukee. And Milwaukee waves back. The end. After the end of the story comes more to know about Milwaukee. So then we look at the places that we visited and a little bit about them, little factoids about the places that we visited in the story. Well, most of you live near Milwaukee. Maybe some of you live in Milwaukee. So you're part of the Milwaukee Club. Renee and I wanted to make people who know Milwaukee very well know some special parts in this book and maybe look for them. So she snuck in a few little things that some of you who know Milwaukee very well might recognize, and you can look for some of her hints. For example, on the page that has the inside of the Pfister Hotel. Allie, can we show that page? There it is. If you look on that page and you look at that deer, what does that look like? Something you know, it looks like the logo for the Milwaukee Bucks. And if you look at the picture of the Urban Ecology Center when they're in the canoe, the mom duck and her little ones are like Gertie the duck. That's a famous story in Milwaukee. There's a few more in here. Oh, I know. Let's look at the lakefront picture, Allie. Can we find that one? There it is. Well, it's pretty hard because it's pretty small, but if you look at the dad alligator there, he's holding a cup and it has the logo for Colectivo. And if you live in Milwaukee, you sure know Colectivo. So we've got a couple more. Maybe you can search for them. You're part of the Milwaukee Club. You might spot a few things that only insiders. Oh, I know. I wanted to tell you one more. The picture of the Pfister Hotel inside where they're painting their day. It's kind of toward the end, Allie. There we are. If you look behind Lulu's head, there's a big kind of a skyscraper, and on the top is a blue light. And that's a special light that is an iconic landmark in Milwaukee. And that light, because of its color, tells you what the weather is going to be like tomorrow. So people who don't live in Milwaukee would just think, oh, that's a nice building with a pretty light. But when you live in Milwaukee, you know the real thing about that light. Okay, that's it. Now I wonder if we have any questions. Does anybody have questions?
Thank you, Barbara. I like Pufferson's painting. That's my favorite part of the whole thing. If anyone has any questions, feel free to add them into the comments below. So far, we're just getting a lot of love for Barbara and a lot of love from Vanessa Johanning. Thank you, Vanessa, for watching and appreciating. I enjoyed it too. I'll start with a question that I have, actually. I'm curious because Norman the doorman at the Pfister Hotel is such a specific character. I'm wondering if he was inspired by someone.
Yes, but his name isn't Norman. His name is Peter, and he's been at the Pfister for so many years, and everyone loves him. And after the book came out, he's a bear, obviously, not a person's face, but his outfit looks like Peter's outfit. And after the book came out, a lot of children would go in and want their picture taken with Peter. So he changed his name. Instead of just Peter, he's Peter the Greeter, like Norman the doorman. And he's adorable. He's the happiest man.
That is wonderful. Last chance.
Would you like to know why Pufferson paints blobs?
Yes, I want to know everything about Pufferson.
Well, Pufferson, he's a little bit off center, right? He's a little bit odd, but I have 3 children, and my daughters loved and still love art. They love to look at it. They love to paint and draw, and they're pretty good at it. And they took art classes at your museum when they were little. They were pretty good. Well, then I had a son. He wasn't so good at art. So he painted blobs. So that's why Pufferson paints blobs. But then I felt like I should compliment him. So I'd say, oh, Rob, that looks so nice. He'd say, okay, I can make lots of them. I'll sell them for 5 cents each. He's an entrepreneur more than an artist.
I sell them to you?
Yeah. Well, he thought he would anyway, but I didn't. And he really preferred black. He didn't put color in with his blobs. They were just black.
As an aesthetic. You know what? Are a lot of your characters inspired by your children?
Many. And grandchildren and kids that I meet, I mean, it comes all over, really.
Well, wonderful. Thank you so much, Barbara, for being here today and taking the time to read to us on New Year's Eve. And I want to thank the Kohler Foundation for sponsoring Winter Week activities. And I want to thank all of you for watching and supporting the museum. And have a great day. Enjoy the final day of 2020. Tomorrow, 2021. How exciting.
It is exciting. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.